welcome to the Best Picture Podcast with myself, Brian Scolaro, and TJ Miller. Hi, TJ. Hi.
Hello, sir. How are you? I'm excited. From Erie, Indiana.
And I'm in Atlantic City. It's very nice. It's very, very nice. You got a nice room.
You're doing the Borgata. Is it a comedy club in the Borgata?
Yeah, it seats about 950. It's a beautiful room, you know. And all you do is 20 minutes. That's all you do.
And so is it multiple comics on the bill?
Yeah, 3 comics, and just boom, 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 and you go, and then you go back to your room and you jerk off to who you saw in the audience. But not here; they're all pretty old.
Who? Well, you're open to, you're not ageist. Who are the other comics on the bill?
You wouldn't know them. I didn't know them. I don't think they know who they are themselves. But
trying to look inwards, we want them to look inwards.
But it's always, I've always meet new comics here. I wanted to say that we glossed over the Lost Weekend last time because Paramount does not allow clips to be shown on YouTube or on any fucking thing. So, like, we only could show a trailer. So I wanted to say the scene that I saw because I thought it was great. Because it goes into that book must have been the first book about alcoholism, and it came out right around the time of AA, like you said. And there's a great scene where the guy, Ray Milland, is looking, he's out of money because he spent it all on alcohol. He's looking for bottles he hid around his house. He checks the toilet tank. He checks the vacuum bag, which is, I thought, a great place to hide alcohol. Then his maid comes to the door, right? His maid comes to the door and she goes, "I just left my money here." And he goes, "Oh, where was it?" She goes, "Eating the sugar in the dish." So he goes, "Well, hang on." And he goes and he steals the money and then goes back to her and says, "Oh, it's gone. It's not there. You must be mistaken." So now he steals her money. He goes, he buys 2 bottles of bourbon, cheap stuff. The guy goes, "I shouldn't sell you any more alcohol." He goes, "This is to fill my lighters." And then as he's walking home, he's carrying a brown paper bag. He feels everybody knows. So he buys like 3 apples, puts them on top of the bag. So it looks like he buys apples. And I thought that was brilliant because like this is all stuff that alcoholics do. Like 3 things that alcoholics do in one scene that probably nobody really knew back then. But now we all know. But also when he's leaving, an old lady goes, "Hi." And he goes, "Hi." And the old lady goes, "That's the nice man who drinks." Meaning no matter how much you try to hide it, that everybody knows, It was a great fucking scene, and I wish I could show it. But, Now you saw the best years of our lives.
Yeah, and what I was going to say about the Lost Weekend is that it's just so heart-wrenching, and that the only film to really look at the life of a real drunk was Leaving Las Vegas, and he won
Best Actor.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes sense, and it's another example of why Billy Wilder is one of the best directors of all time because he can do such varied stuff.
Yeah,
and he said that anyway. So yeah, I watched The Best Years of Our Lives. I still have about 10 minutes left in it, but as I was watching it, and I didn't remember the description of it. I kind of went into it not knowing much or anything about it. And it's these 3 guys coming home from war, and they all randomly get selected to go on the same plane as they head back to sort of, be discharged.
Huh.
And, what the guy who's clearly the main character, or so you think, is sort of saying to the other 2 guys on the plane, "Hey, you guys excited to come back?" Just small talk sort of. And then it becomes clear that the sailor that they're with, he has a hook for a hand. And then as you sort of take that in, you see his other hand is also a hook.
Right.
So he has hooks for hands. And I just thought that was going to be a moment to remind us of how terrible war can be, and that they were going to move on and follow.
Yeah.
But then you quickly find out, now we're going to see him returning and kind of, how is he going to reacclimate coming back to life and when he has 2 hooks for hands? And he can light a cigarette. He can do kind of all these things that the Navy is trying to teach him how to be able to go back to life and have these hooks for hands. And, I immediately, that happened. And then the composition of the shots were incredible. And really quickly, I started saying out loud, this is an incredible movie. This is an amazing movie. Because it was, and I had never seen anything like it. And the acting was really naturalistic.
Yeah.
And Myrna Loy plays the wife of the serviceman who was a lieutenant. He was higher up in the ranks, and he works at a bank. And so he comes back, and he's just heavily drinking. And another weird thing about that is nobody knows how to react to these people when they come back. I thought that it was really amazing because all the supporting roles, they don't know, do I say, hey, stop drinking? He wants to go out all night when he gets back, so they sort of have to stay out with him. That's the drunk. The guy with the hooks for the hands, they don't really know how to react to him. Should we talk about it? Should we not talk about it? Should we pretend like it isn't happening? Should we? And so it's really, really difficult to watch. It's very heart-wrenching, but you're really impressed by the performances and the screenplay. The drunk sort of stands up to address all of the people they're celebrating him at the bank, and he's a little drunk, and you think, oh, he's going to fuck this up.
Right.
He doesn't. He ends up making this speech that is excellent and also is ironic in the sense that he's talking about how trivial the bank is and how trivial everything is once you come back from war.
Right.
But he also sort of pulls it off so that it sounds flattering to the bank. And so it just was a complex movie, a layered movie, and just a really great film.
And it also deals with how you could be a captain in the army, and then when you get home, you're pumping soda, you're a soda jerk, and you get yelled at and fired. And I thought that was brilliant. So the same director who did Mrs. Miniver, William Wyler, like you pointed out last time, William Wyler did a movie during World War II, about World War II, and then he did another movie about the best years of lives, about the after effects of World War II, which is, and even though it beat out It's a Wonderful Life for Best Picture, I think It's a Wonderful Life is a beautiful movie, a fantasy movie, but this movie was dealing with what was happening right now to everybody, America and UK. So that's why it clearly won. And I didn't know much about him. And my mother was like, oh, that guy with the hooks for hands, Harold Russell, he won Best Supporting Actor. First of all, it won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Frederick March, Best Supporting Actor, Harold Russell, Best Film Editing, Best Screenplay, and Best Original Score. And Russell, the guy with the hooks for hands, later on won an honorary Academy Award, the only time in history that 2 such awards were given for a single performance. Highest grossing film in both US and UK since the release of Gone with the Wind, and is the 6th most attended film of all time in the United Kingdom with over 20 million tickets sold, which is fucking awesome. But here's the scene, because I fucking love the scene. And I love that it's not Paramount and we can fucking see it. Which makes no sense, Paramount. Don't you want people to want to see the movie? If they see a clip, they're going to want to see the movie.
Hi.
How are you, soldier?
Sailor.
Huh. Excuse me. Say, you mind if I ask you a personal question?
I know what it is. How did I get these hooks and how do they work? That's what everybody says when they start off. Do you mind if I ask you a personal question? Well, I'll tell you. I got sick and tired of that old pair of hands I had. An awful lot of trouble washing them and manicuring my nails. So I trade them in for a pair of these latest models. They work by radar. Look. Pretty cute, eh?
You got plenty of guts. It's terrible when you see a guy like you that had to sacrifice himself. And for what?
And for what? I don't get you, mister.
Anything else for you? Check. We let ourselves get sold down the river. We were pushed into war.
Sure, by the Japs and the Nazis, so we had...
No, the Germans and the Japs had nothing against us. They just wanted to fight the Limeys and the Reds. And they would have whipped them, too. We didn't get deceived into it by a bunch of radicals in Washington.
What are you talking about?
We fought the wrong people, that's all. Just read the facts, my friend. Find out for yourself why you had to lose your hands. And then go out and do something about it.
You better pay your check, brother, and go home.
Well, who do you think you are?
Pay the cashier right over there.
Coffee, please.
Yes, ma'am. And there's another thing. Every soda jerk in this country's got an idea he's somebody.
Look here, mister. What are you selling anyway?
I'm not selling anything but plain old-fashioned Americanism.
Some Americanism. So we're all a bunch of suckers, eh? So we should have been on the side of the Japs and the Nazis, eh?
Again, I say, just look at the facts.
I've seen a couple of facts. I've seen a ship go down and over 400 of my shipmates went with it. Were those guys suckers?
That's the unpleasant truth. And the sooner we get wise to it, the better off we're going to...
Ooh, if I only had my hands.
You put those down!
Take your hands over there.
May I get through, please? Go get the druggist. Yes, sir. What happened? It was Fred Derry. He hit him. Bring some aromatic spirits of ammonia, iodine, and bandages. Yes, sir.
Don't say it, chum. The customer's always right, so I'm fired. But this customer wasn't right. I'll meet you outside in a minute, kid.
When you see a scene like that and you realize the whole movie is that, it really is one of the best movies ever made. And it's another thing about it is that's not sappy, it's not saccharine, it's as real as it comes. And we all know how inappropriate it was that that guy would say that about the war.
Yeah.
And we also know that there are guys like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that shit happened. I had no idea that shit happened back then too. Like everybody's a conspiracy theorist now, and everything. Well, 9/11 happened because of this. Oh, fucking, I mean, even back then they were like, oh, he knew. FDR knew they were fucking that they were gonna get bombed in Pearl Harbor. It's like it's just there's always conspiracy theorists no matter what time it was on Earth. I mean, I thought that was so interesting.
And the idea that the idea that there are Americans who would look a man in the eye who lost his hands and say, we were never supposed to be in that war. It's the common decency is lacking. And you're right. We think about that time period and we think about people in hats saying, here do you do, mister? Hey, okay. Oh, yeah, let me get the door for you, madam. That's kind of how we romanticize that era.
Yeah.
That scene itself shows that, yeah, I mean, it's again, and that was one of many, many scenes when he first comes home and he sees his wife and his parents are so excited to see him and they're crying and everything, but they're looking at his eyes and his face. And so then you see them register that he doesn't have hands anymore. And it's unbelievable, the shift that we see so that's another thing about the film is that everybody is great in it. And the guy with the hooks for hands, he is the best part of the movie. He does sort of steal the show. He does deserve an Academy Award, and he deserved another one later. And it was so funny because when I saw him, when all three of those characters are introduced, when I see him, I said to myself, that's the part I would play. And that's the part you would play.
Yeah,
That's a really interesting thing that in the film, the real star is what would be the best friend in another film.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I said that to myself and I don't want to know why. Then I kind of got down on myself. It was like, yeah, you're sort of typecast or that's Hollywood. And then it was so ironic because then he becomes he has the most interesting part, obviously.
Yeah.
He has the most challenging part. And I think he knew when he got the part or was going to do the film that no one else will ever do that part again.
No.
There will never be another film where, unless that gets remade, and it can't be as powerful a performance if it got remade, which it won't.
No.
Because it was released in 1946, like you said.
Yeah.
It really, and it was another example of a perfect film, and I was really happy. I'm going to try and get ahead of these
Yeah.
films, but I was so happy that I decided to watch that one
Yeah.
instead of A Gentleman's Agreement. You know?
And I also like the fact that they spend a lot of time on the women as well. Like, I love when movies do that. I always remembered when they went into Amy Madigan's character in Field of Dreams about how she wanted to fight the system and like fight the school. Like, that was a great little side note. She was like, it was like the 60s in there, you know? It was just like I love when movies do that, when instead of just being like this macho movie only about the men, they go into how it affects the wives and the wife. And it's that scene we saw the other day where the woman is in love with the guy, and the guy's like, listen, I'm not gonna have any money, but I want to marry you and be with you. And she's like, and she loves him, you know, and she like kisses him.
You know what it'll be, don't you, Peggy? It may take us years to get anywhere. We'll have no money, no decent place to live. We'll have to work, get kicked around.
Because he's like, I come back from the war, I got no skills, I got no talent, no one's gonna hire. I was a captain there, I'm nothing here, I got nothing. And she marries him, and as a guy who has no money, I don't find that to be true. But I guess I have to fight in a war, you know.
I think, you know, and it's funny because now we look back and say that war had happened. Otherwise, Hitler would be in charge of Europe, and he would eventually come over here for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I think, you know, you're absolutely right. And just because a story doesn't center around women, it just does not mean that they it just does not mean that they shouldn't have fully formed three-dimensional characters.
yeah, exactly.
Like
And
a movie
and it just
about women, then the men in the film should also have fully formed characters, and that's what makes a great film.
I agree. Okay, so the next movie. Well, that was 1946. This is 1947. Gentleman's Agreement. It beat out The Bishop's Wife's Crossfire, Great Expectations, and Miracle on 34th Street.
Wow.
It's
There are two kinds of films happening then, you know, which is just popcorn, carousel, you know, fluff, musicals, that stuff. And then pretty serious dramas, either about the war or just human stories.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So let's watch this scene, which I thought was pretty fucking good. Recording, yeah. Share screen, sharing, clicking, clicky click.
I think you'll find this room more comfortable, Mrs. Brewster.
Thank you.
I have a reservation. Double room and bath today through Thursday.
In what name, please?
Green. Philip Green.
Yes, Mr. Green.
My wife will be here tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
One more thing.
Yes?
Is your hotel restricted?
Well, I'd hardly say it was restricted.
Then it's not restricted.
Would you excuse me a moment, please?
How do you do, Mr. Green?
How do you do?
In answer to your question, may I inquire, are you, that is, do you follow the Hebrew religion yourself? Or is it that you just want to make sure?
I've asked a simple question. I'd like to have a simple answer.
Well, you see, we do have a very high-class clientele, and, well, naturally.
Then you do restrict your guests to Gentiles?
Well, I wouldn't say that, Mr. Green. But in any event, there seems to be some mistake, because we don't have a free room in the entire hotel. But if you'd like, perhaps I can fix you up at the Brewster Hotel down near the station.
I'm not staying at the Brewster. Look, I'm Jewish, and you don't take Jews. That's it, isn't it?
I never said that.
If you don't accept Jews, say so.
Don't raise your voice to me, Mr. Green. Speak a little more quietly, please.
Do you or don't you?
Mr. Green, I'm a very busy man. Now, if you want me to phone for a cab or room at the Brewster, I'll do so. Otherwise...
Otherwise what?
it is interesting kind of just to see scenes from these.
Yeah.
Because all you need is a scene to understand why a movie would have won Best Picture. Yeah, I mean, you don't know until it unfolds. Is he saying, I don't want to be in a place where there are Jews? Or, is what we find out is that he's of the Jewish faith.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look Jewish.
That's what a gentleman's agreement, 1947 American drama film based on a novel. It concerns a journalist played by Gregory Peck who poses as a Jew to research an expose on the widespread anti-Semitism in New York and the affluent communities of Connecticut. And it was nominated for 8 awards and won 3: Best Picture, Supporting Actress, Best Director. Elia Kazan, who did On the Waterfront and was blackballed, was blackballed. Yeah, and Scorsese's favorite director. But what I love about this is that he's not even Jewish. But, as the movie goes on, he probably starts to identify as one. And and I also love the little directions where the guy rings the bell, shuts the door, and Gregory Peck's staring at the door, and he looks down and his suitcase is gone. The guy took the suitcase to the front. I
didn't even notice that.
Yeah, but it's like, I always felt Gregory Peck was kind of wooden, but I think it works here, where he's just like, he looks down and he's like, and he just crumbles up his money and takes off. I thought it was great.
And I think also him sort of wanting to say something else or do something, and you really see him want to do that, but then decide it's not worth it. And that's again why acting almost always is most impressive when somebody's not talking.
When it's restraint, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, my favorite performance in that is Margot Robbie silently in the movie theater. Watch yourself. Yeah, I mean, it's so powerful.
I don't think anybody's ever said that before.
Yeah, you know what? I honestly, I could see that, but that was my favorite performance in the film. I thought everybody was incredible, obviously, but she just did so much without any words. And that's what you really saw from Gregory Peck there. And you're right. He probably does start to feel like, that anti-Semitism he might as well be Jewish, having felt, that much of it. And the strangeness of that is this hotel restricted? It's like a lot of Jewish people could pass for Gentiles.
Yeah.
And so it's always interesting when in New York you see the Orthodox Jews, well, obviously, but even wearing a yarmulke, it's kind of like saying, like, I'm Jewish. If you have a problem with Jews, then I am Jewish. I want that to be clear.
Yeah.
So that must, and again, they're doing Miracle on 42nd Street, which is your, your Santa Claus Christmas story. And then you've got this very prevalent anti-Semitism expose based on a novel, so they're really doing two different types.
Yeah. And don't forget, everyone says Hollywood is run by Jewish people, so you know why this movie probably resonated with Hollywood.
Yeah, that's true. That didn't hurt. I think.
And
probably,
I also liked how, like, a lot of racism is not what we see on TV, like "fuck you, N-word" and all that. A lot of it is just cutting people out. Silently cutting people out. And I love that that's what the scene was. Silently, I'm farting right now. Silently cutting. I had to.
You're a classy guy.
Thank you. It's a defense tactic. I'm like a skunk. But that's what happened. I love that it was like that. Anyway, Gregory Peck, I was never a big fan, but I fucking really loved that scene.
Yeah, I love that scene. And, I think it's because we all just know him from one film.
Yeah.
And so when you think about him, you refer back to that performance.
Right.
And so, when you don't know an actor's work, then you just think, okay, well,
Well, To Kill a Mockingbird, for God's sakes.
Yeah, but when you hear Gregory Peck, you just think of his performance there, and it was very wooden.
Yeah.
And I think, and what we see in this, maybe the reason that people loved him was he was really good at that kind of 50s dad, stoic, won't talk about, but feeling a lot internally.
Right.
You
Yeah. Yeah. So next, I guess we'll just keep moving.
Let's do it.
Share screen. Share. Now, I do want to say, I want to close this for a second. I do want to say that this movie, I guess this is why it never won again. What I've noticed is that remakes never win again. Like All Quiet on the Western Front was fantastic. But
Yeah.
because it won like the third Academy Award ever, it didn't win again, probably for a bunch of reasons. It always seems that, but this Hamlet is, when I looked at this version of Hamlet, they did interesting things. So I see why it won. Because what Laurence Olivier did in this version of Hamlet was make it cinema. And it's a play, but he made it cinema, which I really thought was fantastic. All right, share screen.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep, to sleep.
A chance to dream.
What I like about that is they made it cinema. It's a play, but they made it cinema. They went up the stairs. Then they show the water, like he could jump off and kill himself. And then they go into his head. In other words, he's not saying this, he's thinking this. They go into his head. They show his head, they show his forehead, and then he talks and he shuts his mouth and the thoughts are still there. There's just thoughts. And that's what I liked about it. That they made it cinema. And to explain it to fucking stupid Americans, they're like, this is what he's thinking. He's thinking kill himself, and then he goes, "What? But that's just a dream." You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to do it. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I think it's actually abstract. What you're saying is true. You made it cinema, but to have sort of the soft focus and the going up the stairs and all, it's almost surreal. And yeah, a performance can make you. I don't love Hamlet, but a performance can make you really sort of be drawn into it. And yeah, that was just such a well acted. And to your point, it was so well acted. It's also he's really not. It doesn't seem like he's in a play at all. It's like you said. It's just the acting is very filmic. It's they're acting like you need to act when you're in a film.
Yeah, and So according to this, 1948 British film, adapted and directed by and starring Laurence Olivier. Olivier's second film as director and second of the 3 Shakespeare films that he directed. But Hamlet was the first British film to win an Academy Award for Best Picture. It is the first sound film of the play in English.
Really?
Yeah. I just like this idea of going into the head. I thought that I've never seen that. Like when you watch somebody say those words on stage, but if it's overdubbed, these are his thoughts, and I like that a lot. Like I think that was a way of almost dumbing it down to explain to people what's happening in this scene. That he's not really going to kill himself, but he's dreaming how easy it would be to just be out of pain. And I thought I thought was good,
And I think, the way that I received it was to sleep, perchance to dream is kind of, maybe in dying, I'll sort of be able to, kind of dream and be away from this reality of my terrible life, and I'm not even really I'm not literate enough to tell you the entire plot of Hamlet, but
I also love the woman, like how distraught she is, that shot going up the stairs. Like she just looks like she's batshit crazy at that point.
Yeah. And so if you can do that with a Shakespearean play and make it great cinema, that's really impressive and probably is, deserves an Academy Award.
And he was married to Vivian Leigh from Gone with the Wind at that point. So that's interesting. Sir Laurence Olivier, I never had a problem with. He did some interesting things. Somebody told me a story once. He did a movie where I guess his character dies in it. So what he did was he painted eyes on his eyelids so that when he died, he just shut his eyes. So the audience didn't know it, but all of a sudden his eyes just went dead. That's fucking brilliant,
It's so smart. Yeah. Bizarre.
I just know him from Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, and you also just know him from his reputation. It's Sir Laurence Olivier.
Sir Laurence Olivier. He was a handsome guy. I just know him as Zeus,
I'm not sure. I haven't even seen I'm not sure. I think I've seen that, but
it's great. Clash of the Titans. The Medusa scene alone is fantastic.
Oh, I have seen it. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it's brilliant. All this. The fucking the special effects were great.
I love it.
Ray Harryhausen. Anyway.
Yes.
Hey, feel like moving on? Not much to say about Hamlet. We know it's good.
Yeah, not much because I don't really love Shakespeare.
I don't really love Shakespeare. I remember in high school I had to do Shakespeare productions, so I always made them comedies no matter what they were. But it helped people understand. Like when my characters go into battle, I hit a whistle. Like a crazy whistle in my head went, and everybody laughed, but they knew that line meant. Now they know the line meant that I was going to fight. So I added things, but that's what I would love to do, a comedy Shakespeare when it's not meant to be a comedy, like Hamlet. Do a funny version of Hamlet.
It would be great. Of course, you're ad libbing though. I watched the clip of you ad libbing, the compilation. It was so funny.
What you said you were on a train? I'm like, well, you can watch this on the train. It's 9 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one. Share screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce to you that true man of the people, the next governor of the state, Willie Stark.
My friends, I have a speech here. It's a speech about what this state needs. There's no need in my telling you what this state needs. You are the state and you know what you need. You over there, look at your pants. Have they got holes in the knees? Listen to your stomach. Did you ever hear it rumble for hunger? And you, what about your crops? Did they ever rot in the field because the road was so bad you couldn't get them to market? And you, What about your kids? Are they growing up ignorant as dirt, ignorant as you, because there's no school for them? No, I'm not going to read you any speech. But I am going to tell you a story. It's a funny story, so get ready to laugh.
What's he up to?
Get ready to bust your sides laughing, because it's sure a funny story. It's about a hick. A hick like you, if you please. Yeah, like you. He grew up on the dirt roads and the gully washes of a farm. He knew what it was to get up before dawn and get feed and slop and milk before breakfast and then set out before sunup and walk 6 miles to a one-room slab-sided schoolhouse. Oh, this hick knew what it was to be a hick, all right. He figured if he was going to get anything done, well, he had to do it himself. So he sat up nights and studied books. He studied law because he thought he might be able to change things some for himself and for folks like him. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. He didn't start off thinking about the hicks and all the wonderful things he was going to do for him, no. No, he started off thinking of number one. But something came to him on the way. How he could do nothing for himself without the help of the people, that's what came to him. And it also came to him with the powerful force of God's own lightning back in his home county when the school building collapsed because it was built of politics, rotten brick. It killed and mangled a dozen kids. But you know that story. The people were his friends because he fought that rotten brick. And some of the politicians down in the city, they knew that. So they rode up to his house in a big, fine, shiny car and said as how they wanted him to run for governor.
Sadie, he's wonderful, wonderful.
And he swallowed it. He looked in his heart and he thought in all humility how he'd like to try and change things. He was just a country boy who thought that even the plainest, poorest man can be governor if his fellow citizens find he's got the stuff for the job. Well, those fellas in the striped pants, they saw that hick. And they took him in.
Willie, what are you trying to...
There he is. There's your Judas Iscariot. Look at him. Lick, spittle, nose wiper. Look at him. Look at him.
Hey,
Dummy, look at him.
That's a lie!
Look at him.
Look at him, boy! Look at him!
Look at him. Look at him.
Go get him!
Now shut up. Shut up, all of you. Now listen to me, you hicks. Yeah, you're hicks too, and they fooled you 1,000 times just like they fooled me. But this time I'm going to fool somebody. I'm going to stay in this race. I'm on my own and I'm out for blood. Now listen to me, you hicks. Listen to me and lift up your eyes and look at God's blessed and unfly-blown truth. And this is the truth. You're a hick. And nobody ever helped a hick but a hick himself. All right, listen to me. Listen to me. I'm the hick they were going to use to split the hick vote. But I'm standing right here now on my hind legs. Even a dog can learn to do that. Are you standing on your hind legs? Have you learned to do that much yet? Here it is. Here it is, you hicks. Nail up anybody who stands in your way. Nail up Joe Harrison. Nail up McMurphy. And if they don't deliver, give me the hammer and I'll do it myself.
I was, as it was happening, I was just thinking about how difficult, I don't know, how difficult that would be in acting. You know, what a challenge it would be to do that monologue and make it interesting and make it engaging and make it not seem kind of, you know,
dated.
Yeah, and just ham-fisted. That's the word I'm looking for.
Ham-fisted.
You get, you know, when you have a monologue like that, it's really touchy. You can really mess up. You can kind of really mess stuff up, and it just takes a little mistake in the delivery. But yeah, I mean, you can see why that's compelling. And it reminds me again that, you know, best pictures are always there are certain stories that we're drawn to. And that's kind of the American man pulling himself up by the bootstraps, you know?
Yeah. Well, it won against Battleground, The Heiress, A Letter to Three Wives, and 12 O'Clock High. The film won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor, Broderick Crawford, and Best Supporting Actress, Mercedes McCambridge. In 2001, All the King's Men was deemed culturally, historically, aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress. Plot focuses on the rise and fall of the ambitious and ruthless politician Willie Stark in the American South. Though a fictional character, Stark strongly resembles Louisiana Governor Huey Long. So I guess he was popular, and then probably, I think, according to my mother, he gets negative or something, you know?
Yeah, I think corruption finds its way, because that was in Louisiana. That was the big thing.
Yeah.
That particular governor. Yeah, but, you know, and so right then and there, it's, you know, America. and corruption and politics and so all these with social messages, and even if they border on satire, but the things that are really speaking to people, I think what the Best Picture, what the Academy wanted to do was encourage people to make these movies because it's such an important part of the national discourse.
And you're right, because that speech nowadays, which he started off at a 10. Nowadays, you would probably start that off at a 5 and build to a 10. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
And, yeah, that's what I would do if I was giving that speech. Like, yeah, you Hicks. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, Hicks. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that. First of all, he sounds like from New York. He doesn't sound like a hick at all.
Yeah, I know. You were great, though.
Well,
but you're right. He starts off right. He starts off at 10 instead of building to it. But it's, right there, it's, the proletariat, that class of people, the Hicks, they don't feel represented right now in America.
No, I don't.
And so they'll buy whatever the snake oil salesman is selling them because they don't feel like anybody's speaking to them or for them.
And hence, that's why we're in the mess we're in now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nobody's representing them except for the lunatics,
Except for lunatics.
Yeah. I also don't know what else to say besides I've never seen these movies, but I did like the speech, and that must have been one of the first times. I think Citizen Kane did it, where they cut to different, like Citizen Kane showed the champagne and the stock things going, and they cut to him.
That's interesting too. That's the editing. That's sort of, let's put these different speeches together. Right, go to the guy who's typing the speeches. Yeah. It's really the use of montage.
Yeah, it's like almost like a Scorsese montage nowadays, but it was I don't know. It's I guess back then that shit was really new. But I guess I don't think they invented it. I think Citizen Kane might have invented it. What the fuck do I know? All right. Share screen. Now
I love that. What the fuck do I know?
Now this movie everybody knows, or at least they've heard of. And I saw the first time I learned about this movie, it was parodied on Saturday Night Live when Deborah Norville took over Jane Pauley. Was it Jane Pauley? She took over somebody at like NBC News, so they did an All About Eve parody, and that's why I learned what All About Eve was, like in the 80s.
Yeah.
Bertie. You don't like Eve, do you?
You want an argument or an answer?
An answer.
No.
Why not?
Now you want an argument.
She works hard.
Night and day.
She's loyal and efficient.
Like an agent with only one client.
She thinks only of me. Doesn't she?
Well, let's say she thinks only about you anyway.
How do you mean that?
I'll tell you how. Like she's studying you. Like you was a play or a book or a set of blueprints. How you walk, talk, eat, think, sleep.
I'm sure that's very flattering, Bertie. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with it.
Good morning. Well, what do you think of my elegant new suit?
Very becoming. It looks much better on you than it did on me.
Oh, I can imagine. You know, all it needed was a little taking in here and letting out there. Are you sure you won't want it yourself?
I'm quite sure. I find it too 17-ish for me.
Come now, as though you were an old lady. I'm on my way. Is there anything more you've thought of?
Where's that script to take back to the Guild?
I've got it.
And those checks or whatever it is for the income tax man.
Right here.
And it seems I can't think of a thing you haven't thought of.
That's my job. See you at tea time.
Eve, by any chance did you place a call from me to Bill for midnight California time?
Golly, I forgot to tell you.
Yes, dear, you forgot all about it.
Well, I was sure you'd want to, of course, being his birthday, and you've been so busy these past few days. And last night I meant to tell you before you went out with the Richards. I guess I was asleep when you got home.
Yes, I guess you were. It was very thoughtful of you, Eve.
Mr. Sampson's birthday. I couldn't forget that. You'd never forgive me. As a matter of fact, I sent him a telegram myself.
I am in a film with Drew Barrymore called The Stand-In, and it's based on All About Eve.
Really?
So, and Drew Barrymore plays two parts. She plays herself, sort of a movie star named Candy Black, and then she plays her stand-in, who kind of looks, vaguely like her, and she wore a prosthetic to look sort of like herself but different. And she sort of takes over the movie star's life. And it's sort of all about Eve, but modern, and about a true stand-in, someone that is supposed to be there to, someone who's supposed to be there to
assist.
Yeah, sort of to be a version of her. So whereas this is a fan who becomes an assistant and then tries to take over Betty Davis's life.
Yeah.
In this, the girl is a stand-in, and then Candy Black is somebody catches her on somebody's recording her, and so she has this fall from grace because of this video of her attacking
You're talking about Drew Barrymore movie, I say, yeah.
Yeah, the Drew Barrymore film. And I also thought that film was incredible because Drew did she did two different versions of the acting, and she was method acting.
Right.
So when she was the movie star, she was just herself.
Right.
So I would talk to her, and she would just kind of talk to me like a movie star and talk to me about kind of what I had going on, all that stuff. And then when she was I played her manager. And then when she was playing the stand-in, she was sort of too afraid of me to even talk to me.
I see.
And so that was really interesting off camera that she was doing it that way. But she was really... I
was off camera. I see. Cool.
Yeah. And so because she was in the two parts for the entire time that she was doing it. And she had a breakdown on the set when it was, when they were filming her. And it was just fascinating because she sort of started as the character and then became Drew Barrymore, having a breakdown about how she's been acting since she was a kid. And then she hugged me and sort of said, "I'm so sorry for everything that's happened to you. And I know exactly what it is. And I've been through it, and the media and the tabloids and all that stuff." So that was really crazy. And
Wow.
sort of helped me for a long time.
So she got real about you and about her in the scene.
Exactly.
Well, that's great, man.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I always liked Drew Barrymore, but this movie beat out Born Yesterday, Father of the Bride, King Solomon's Mines, and Sunset Boulevard. That must have been a close fucking call.
Wow, yeah.
And just in case people don't know what it is, 1950 American drama film, written and directed by Mankiewicz, produced by Daryl Zanuck. It is Zanuck. Wow, that was the father of the guy who produced Jaws. It is based on the 1946 short story The Wisdom of Eve. The film stars Betty Davis as Margot Channing, a highly regarded but aging Broadway star, and Anne Baxter as Eve Harrington, an ambitious young far who maneuvers herself into Channing's life, ultimately threatening Channing's career and her personal relationships. And I gotta say, what I really loved in that scene was the end, where they play that one note, where she goes, "I sent them a postcard myself." They go, "Wow." And then she looks at the maid, and the maid just goes, walks out.
It's perfect, right? The maid is so good. Yeah, and it's perfect. And I love the line, "Do you want an answer or an argument?"
Yeah.
And I think the entire, and I saw the movie once I found out that The Stand-In was based on it, and it's excellent. And it's almost a psychological thriller. I guess it kind of is.
It's like without, it's what is a single white female without the murders,
Right, exactly. Or Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
Right? The bunny lives.
Yeah, but it's like I always loved her. Goddamn, I always loved fucking why can't Betty Davis? And I guess this is the movie that solidified her. I guess she was already famous, but this is the movie that solidified her because she was like a young starling, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, she became, when she really became famous was when she, Academy Awards at this age. I think she became famous when she started playing a truer version of herself, if that makes sense.
Interesting. I like her. Interesting. So did she win for this? All About Eve is the only film in Oscar history to receive 4 female acting nominations. Wow. Widely considered as among the greatest films of all time. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think, here we are with the Best Picture that is all about the women.
Yeah.
There's no kind of any of the male parts in the film are auxiliary and serve the purpose of, supporting, these females. And it's a psychological thriller. Yeah.
And it's like all that stuff. Now that I'm an older comedian, I remember a comedian who a young black comedian came up to me and he showed me something and I laughed. He goes, I made Scalaro laugh. I didn't even know who he is. But then I was like, is he proud of making me laugh because I'm a comic, or is he proud of making me laugh because I'm a grump? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a whole thing with age, not just am I being replaced or am I being swindled, but also the thing about age. When you get older, as I go to the Comedy Cell and I see all these young comics get 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock spots, and me and Gottfried and Sherrod and David Tell are on at fucking 2 a.m. And I'm like, are we not important anymore? It's like, it's interesting, So it's like,
it's strange.
There's all that involved as well, But I've had people say they want to do favors for me and then find out they're secretly screwing me, Like, I always remember on the TV shows I was on, there was always the warm-up guy. The first sitcom I did, Three Sisters, he was always like, you're great. And then one day I walked in on him talking to producers. What's so great about Scalaro? I've been here. I did your first season warm-up. How come I can't get a line or two? And I was like, wow, what an asshole,
and there's that component of jealousy and obsession and all those things happen even although it's about a Broadway actress, it's Broadway star, it's it's really about cinema. And then Sunset Boulevard is about that also, and about sort of Hollywood and how it celebrates you, takes you in, celebrates you, and then sort of chews you up and spits you out.
And I think Sunset Boulevard, a lot of people were upset at the movie because it exposed a lot of horrible shit about them. I don't think Louis Mayer was happy with the movie.
No, not at all.
I was amazed that Buster Keaton took the role. That's how much he needed money. Like, well, you're playing somebody who doesn't work anymore, and you're a sad sack. All right, he said yes. He said yes to it. And also, I want to mention that All About Eve has a record-breaking 14 Oscar nominations. Later on, that was tied by Titanic and La La Land.
Listen, this is great. Next up is, what's the next film?
Well, the next film, let's take a look. That was 1950. So we're in the 50s. So we've gone through the 20s, the 30s, and the 40s. So for the next film, you won't like. It's American in Paris. It's a musical.
That's not true necessarily.
And
we'll see what the deal is.
But the movie after that, not a great movie, but a great scene that's actually in The Fabelmans as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see. Tune in next time.
Or don't. See if we can.
No, thank you so much, Brian. More to come.
I hope you find your phone. If your logins are in your phone, you might want to change your logins.
I've already erased the phone.
Okay. Oh yeah.
All right, man.
I didn't know you could do that. Hey, buddy, it's good to see you. Have great shows this weekend, and I'll see you next week. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
We'll do next week. I'll talk to you on Sunday. We'll schedule next week.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.